idea that we are not inheriting the ground from our grandparents, we are borrowing it from our grandchildren, is kind of embedded in farmers all the way across the United States.
There is a direct connection between sustainability and profitability in agriculture, so they go together, hand in hand.
I think the common word is pride. Nearly every farmer I talk to is proud of their farming operation, they're proud of their profession, they're proud of what they do.
I've always been cognizant of the fact that my family, myself, we would be eating these vegetables ourselves. So we do everything we can to produce a safe product.
It's my responsibility to take care of these crops and to take care of the land to be able to pass that to future generations.
And every generation has that work ethic that tries to leave the woodpile a little higher than they found it, if you will.
Stewardship is a responsibility that guides your decision-making process in a very complicated world. It's the reason behind the reason you're in business.
The generations come and go, and they come and go really rather quickly, but the land endures.
And this is not a job, this is a way of life, a very good way of life, I might say so.
It's an untold story in rural America, or at least one that isn't told often enough. Across the United States, farmers, ranchers, cooperatives, and other rural businesses are protecting the land, improving their environmental performance, and giving back to the community. All while creating jobs, powering the rural economy, and feeding the world.
There are no better stewards of the natural resources of this country, the surface resources, than farmers and ranchers. They understand that if they take care of the land will take care of them, it will feed them, it will feed their families, and will feed the rest of us. They all have a hardwired genetic disposition to take care of the land and protect it. That's what they've done for centuries, and that's what they'll continue to do.
When I think of stewardship and farming together, I think of it really in two ways. First of all, the land, the soil, is our number one asset other than our people. And we need to have the land to be a sustainable farmer. We need to have good soil, and so we're going to take good care of our soil strictly from a business perspective. But also, we've grown up on farms, many of us in America. We love the land, and we're going to treat it with the respect that it deserves.
I don't think that the idea of sustainability or the idea of stewardship of the ground is anything new to any farmer anywhere in the United States. I think that we have been focused on this for years. The idea that we have labeled it and that the government entities or other private entities have wanted to participate in their decisions about what is stewardship and what is sustainability is sort of a recent phenomenon, but to us out here on the ground, it's not new. We've been working on this for years, been doing this for years.
Since 1980, American farmers have increased their total output by almost 50%, thanks to improvements in crop science, agronomy, and farming practices. At the same time, they've lowered their water consumption by 17%, and advances in precision agriculture have reduced usage of crop nutrients by more than 5% in the same time period.
If you think about what American farmers have done in the last generation alone, it really is an incredible success story. They're producing more food and fiber with less land, less water, and less fertilizer. It's a real testament not only to their spirit of stewardship, but to their continuing commitment to innovation and efficiency as well.
If we're going to feed a growing population, we have to maximize the production of every acre of land. If we're going to avoid taking down the rainforest in South America, if we're going to not farm the hillsides because they are most erodible, then every acre that we produce has to produce to its maximum.
Beyond individual farmers and ranchers, farmer-owned co-ops and other agribusinesses are also an important part of rural America's stewardship story. Cooperatives like AgriLand FS in Winterset, Iowa, are helping their members to produce more abundant harvests while protecting the long-term health of their farmland.
We've really been given a charge here of the American farmer, and the charge has been to help feed a growing population in the world. And at the same time, we've been given the accountability to make sure that we minimize any impact on the environment.
As a farm supply cooperative, AgriLand provides farmer members with a variety of vital products and services, including seed, fertilizer, crop protection, and fuel for farm equipment. Bob Atkins is an AgriLand member and the chairman of the co-op's board.
The AgriLand people know what they're talking about. You can trust them. I feel it's an extension of our business because they do things that I don't have to do. In essence, that helps in my stewardship of my time because I utilize these people all the time. They're extremely knowledgeable, they're extremely helpful, and very trustworthy.
For AgriLand, stewardship is also about giving back to the community. The co-op has established a foundation to support local nonprofit organizations, as well as scholarships for area students pursuing careers in agriculture. And more than 24 employees volunteer for local volunteer fire departments inside its service territory.
When that volunteer whistle blows, we lose a team member that goes right then, and we expect them to go fight the fire. And we think that that's an important contribution that our cooperative can make in the communities that we serve.
AgriLand is not alone in its commitment to community involvement. Around the country, agricultural enterprises of all sizes are finding ways to support worthy causes and make the world a better place. Minnesota-based CHS, the nation's largest agricultural cooperative, operates a corporate foundation that recently committed $3 million to promote agriculture safety programs. William Nelson is the foundation's manager.
I think stewardship in agribusiness is a fairly unique concept in that we're dealing with a lot of heritage. You know, we didn't get here without a lot of people contributing to it. But it's also very much about the future.
In Illinois, dairy cooperative Prairie Farms donates a nickel for every gallon of milk it sells to charities selected by its consumers. Last year, the program raised more than $50,000 for a variety of worthy causes.
We felt very strongly committed to helping our local charities and helping our consumers help their favorite charities by purchasing our products. We are committed to try to help our local communities that we live and we operate in to the best of our ability.
And in California, one of the state's largest and most successful agricultural enterprises is investing millions of dollars in a variety of stewardship programs. Roll Global is the parent company for a variety of widely recognized products, including palm fruit juices and Wonderful brand almonds and pistachios. The company has underwritten community projects in the unincorporated town of Lost Hills, near its flagship processing plant in the Central Valley. They include low-income housing, street and sidewalk improvements, and a new community center for area residents. Roll Global has also invested heavily in renewable energy sources to help power its processing facility and reduce its environmental footprint. But it's in the area of education that Roll Global is having its greatest impact. The company has funded a charter school in the farming community of Delano, California, along with scholarships for children of low-income families that will help them attend college.
Well, it is a great achievement that I'll be able to be the first in my family to graduate. I'll be able to pursue a career that unfortunately my parents and my grandparents couldn't pursue, but just the fact that I'm the first in the family to be able to have that goal, it's truly amazing.
Stuart and Linda Resnick, the husband and wife founders of Roll Global, say the company has embraced corporate social responsibility as a central part of its business model.
We believe that we can do well by doing good. And we also believe that we have an obligation to do good, that we have been successful as a company, have been successful as individuals, and work in certain communities, and it's important for us to support those communities. We're in a competitive industry. Our employees work very hard. So what else can we do for them that's really important for them and important for the community? And that's, they're very focused on their children. What's the opportunities for their children? So we think that the one way we can change opportunities for children is education.
Agriculture is not picking fruit anymore. Agriculture has turned into a very sophisticated, technologically challenging business. We deal with robotics and engineering and all sorts of disciplines that were not part of agriculture in the Central Valley 25 years ago. It's all about education, and so education has become really the majority of what our work entails today.
One innovative Roll Global program provides interested high school students with technical training in agricultural careers. They emerge with an associate's degree, along with a guaranteed job at a Roll Global company. Stuart Resnick says he hopes other agricultural enterprises will emulate the Roll Global approach.
If we can show that what we're doing is beneficial to the business, then we can take this concept and have other employers adapt it, and then we can really do some good.
The ethic of stewardship isn't confined to the world of agriculture. Rural infrastructure providers are also giving back by improving their environmental performance and investing in local economic development. In southern Alaska, Cordova Electric Cooperative generates a majority of its power from hydroelectric systems, minimizing its reliance on diesel generation.
The community at Cordova was impacted heavily by the Exxon Valdez oil spill, and that probably raised the community's awareness, our conscience, of the importance of stewardship and taking care of the environment around us. And hydroelectric energy fits very well within that model. So as we designed and built our hydroelectric projects, we made absolutely sure that we respected the environment and also designed and positioned the projects to have minimal impacts on salmon, fisheries, aquatic and land resources. So stewardship was one of the primary drivers behind how the projects were sited and developed and operated.
In Iowa, Central Iowa Power Cooperative has added significant amounts of wind to its power generation portfolio, and more than 60% of its power is now carbon-free. The cooperative also invests heavily in promoting economic development throughout its service territory.
Our view of stewardship is in fact one of the broadest form, and that is the opportunity for wealth creation and economic growth in the geography that we serve, ultimately benefiting the member systems and their consumers.
Another CoBank customer in Iowa, Central Iowa Water Association, has invested over $200 million in the past 35 years into its water infrastructure, which serves over 12,000 Iowa businesses and rural residents. Association manager James LaPlante, who is also a farmer, says he's tried to take stewardship lessons he learned from agriculture and apply them at the water company.
I've learned from the ground up how conservation is a necessary component of all we do on the farm. And I've tried to take that passion for conservation and instill it in all we do at Central Iowa Water Association. My concept of stewardship is working every day to maintain the integrity of what we have right now and continuing to improve and expand the facilities that we have for future generations.
And in Stamford, Connecticut, rural telecom provider Frontier Communications is sponsoring a nationwide economic development contest called America's Best Communities. The company serves small and rural communities in 28 states and has called on them to submit their best ideas for a chance at a multi-million-dollar cash prize.
You know, when I think about the viability of rural America, one of the most important aspects of that is making sure they have healthy economies. And that economic development is about supporting businesses and education systems within the rural communities to make sure that we have great talent, that businesses can flourish, whether they're existing businesses or new businesses can start. And so economic development is sort of the heartbeat of making sure there's prosperity around the country.
CoBank has joined with Frontier as a major corporate sponsor of the America's Best Communities campaign, along with satellite television provider Dish and country music star Vince Gill. The contest winners will be announced in 2017.
There are no losers in this contest. We are going to share all of the best practices, the innovations, and the ideas across all of the markets that we serve. So we do know that a rising tide can lift all boats.
Standing behind all of these rural businesses are CoBank and the rest of the Farm Credit System, a nationwide network of lending institutions specifically chartered to serve rural America. Founded in 1916, the Farm Credit System today has over $270 billion in assets and is the largest single provider of debt capital to rural America.
Stewardship is really a way of life. We view ourselves not as owners of a company, but as stewards of the resources that our customer stockholders have given us to manage. And with that comes a responsibility not just to provide effective and competitive products with integrity, but also to make sure that we're utilizing those resources for the benefit of all of agriculture.
Beyond providing financial services, farm credit institutions are also deeply involved in their local communities. For instance, Northwest Farm Credit Services in Spokane, Washington has established a strategic partnership with Second Harvest, a nonprofit dedicated to fighting hunger.
We've really formed an amazing partnership with Northwest Farm Credit, and I think the people there have really made the connection between what we do and what their customers care about. Farm Credit has seen that connection and have really embraced our cause, and they're what I would call an all-in partner. They have given their time, they've given their money, they've been good advocates for us.
There's a tremendous amount of food insecurity in rural areas, and a lot of it has to do with the elderly. And so our ability to match up with Second Harvest that has a mobile capability was just a natural for us. And so that relationship has been evolving over time, and with the support of CoBank, we've been able to put both organizations' capacity together and make a real difference in building the capacity of Second Harvest.
With so much effort and so many contributions being made, a question remains. Why is public perception of agriculture and other rural industries seemingly trending in the wrong direction?
There is a vast majority and a growing majority of people in this country that have no idea of what a farm is really like. They don't know a farmer. They've never been to a farm. Maybe they drive by one at 75 miles an hour on the interstate, but they've never been there. And so their perception of a farm or of farmers or of farming comes from what they read or what they hear or what they see on YouTube or whatever. And most of what they see is probably created by someone with a special interest. Maybe someone that has a certain agenda that they want to get across, and if that's all you know about farming, your perception is going to be altered.
The natural humility of people in rural America may also be getting in the way.
Quiet labor of love for American farmers and ranchers, that they go to work every single day, they milk cows 365 days a year, they harvest, they plant, all those things that they do day in and day out. We benefit from that, the American consumer does. And there is a big disconnect. While it's hard for them to brag of themselves, folks in my position and others have got to help also. They've got to tell the story.
Scott Vernon, a professor of agricultural communications at California Polytechnic State University, agrees.
I don't believe that rural America and farmers and ranchers get enough credit for the stewardship that they're applying to their operations. And here's why. Farmers and ranchers are humble people. They don't brag a lot. They just go and do work. And by doing that work, good work on the farms and ranches that makes sense to them, they just go about it and they don't write press releases and share that with the world. And so it's because of their humble values, I think, that we're not seeing it played out in the media in the same sense.
At CoBank, we think one of our many jobs is to get the word out about rural America. And we do it every day. But CoBank alone isn't going to get the job done. Every business leader in rural America, whether you're a manager or a member of the board, has got to step up and help close the gap between perception and reality. Even more importantly, it's going to take those involved in food and agriculture, those involved in rural infrastructure, and those involved in banking to work together and to think beyond the parochial interest of any one industry. That's something we've not always been good at. But I'm confident if we can do that, if we can aggregate the collective pride of rural America, if we can leverage the strong work ethic of rural America, if we can tell the story of sustainability in rural America, if we can continue our role of stewardship of our natural resources in our rural communities, if we can continue to advance public-private partnerships in rural America, public perception will improve. The untold story of rural America must be told, and the voice of rural America in the rest of our country and around the world will be known.